Economists are predicting a minor slowdown in employment growth ahead of September jobs data being released today. Let's head over to Evan Lucas now. He is the Chief Market Strategist at InvestSMART. Evan, good morning to you. So what rate are we expecting here and what kind of impact will this have on the budget?
So I'll take that last part in a minute because I think that's a very important question about what happens on the budget next Thursday. Expectations are for 20,000 jobs to be added for the month of September. As you said, slight ease from the month before where it was 34,000 in August. But participation is expected to ease ever so slightly, which will probably mean the unemployment rate actually gets better. I know that's a weird thing to say, but expectations are for 3.4% on the unemployment rate. And that is at the record that we had seen, or the 40-year low that we had seen in that number. Getting to that budget question and why that's so important, what we know through 2022 and most of 2021, once we got out of COVID lockdowns, etc., that the amount of people employed now is at the level we've seen in 2019. In fact, if we got that figure today, it would be the highest amount of employed people in this country in the last 40 years. So that therefore means income tax is going to be up, and the expectation that it could probably beat budget expectations should be noted, because the other thing we know is that wages, although they're not necessarily rising at the level we've seen in the US or in the UK, they are up, and therefore bracket creep is the next question to really ask about the budget next week. There is no doubt people will have moved up along those lines, particularly into the 37-cent bracket, and that we know is the big political talking point at the moment about stage 3 tax cuts and what they will do, removing that bracket. So watch that one next week. Income tax will be better than expected in our view.
Okay, we're looking at inflation in the UK. It's almost in lockstep with our American friends at 40-year highs now. Plus the EU, it's risen overnight. What's the biggest driver of this, Evan?
Energy. And in short, and why we need to watch this very closely. So the UK came in at 10.1% on their CPI. Europe slightly, and I do mean slightly, revised down their first read of inflation from 10% exactly to 9.9%. They are all talking about the increased impact of energy. Now, it is the Ukraine war for Europe specifically that is causing this, but why it matters, moving into the Northern Hemisphere winter, demand has already started to move up. You are starting to see also the suggestion that it could be a colder than expected winter. So the heating scenario is what is really catching the most attention. How do you deal with a rising inflation rate because of energy, because of those essential items? But also then, as we've just heard from your previous story, also around the rising costs of living, but therefore having to do some form of austerity to actually rein in inflation is what we'll see. Bank of England is raising rates. Even the European Central Bank is being dragged kicking and screaming to it as well. That is why watching what happens with energy and how the response happens will be the biggest telling point, because inflation is rampant. They do need to try and control it, but it is in an area that is out of their control to some extent.
Okay. How's the baby going, Evan?
Loud.
I heard at the start. I had to ask. How you all getting along with sleep? You going okay? Mum and Dad's going okay?
Today she's 12 weeks, so we are all very excited. She's doing great.
Good one, Evan Lucas. Well done. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.